He is and ever shall be. You're listening to Ancient Faith Radio, timeless Christianity 24 hours a day.
This is Everyday Orthodox with your host, Elissa Bjeletich Davis. We get together on Sunday nights to meet everyday Orthodox Christians. We're hoping to get to know the members of the body of Christ across all of our various jurisdictions and regions. We may worship in various languages or even on different calendars, but we have so much in common. Come get to know someone new and see how they're living out this Orthodox faith in another corner of the world. After all, every person is an icon of Christ, and as we'll see, every person has a story to tell. If you have a question for tonight's guest, we invite you to call in and join the conversation at 1-855-237-2346. That's 1-855-AF-RADIO. Now, here's Elissa.
It is Sunday, October 8th, 2023, and we are live on Ancient Faith Radio. I'm Elissa Bjeletich Davis, and this is Everyday Orthodox. And this is our 200th episode. We have recorded so many episodes of Everyday Orthodox, getting to know wonderful people, and it has just been fantastic. It's been a lot of fun. And people kept saying, you know, one of these days I should have to answer all the questions instead of just getting to sit back and ask. And I was like, yeah, you know, someday when we hit 200 episodes, we'll do that. And that came a little faster than I expected, actually. And here we are. So we have a very special guest tonight. It is my daughter, Helena Bjeletich.
Hello.
Helena's here, and she's going to ask me the questions tonight. But anyway, we're very glad that you're joining us. Remember that we are streaming live on YouTube with video in case you're ever feeling like you need to see the faces of the people you hear. We're also streaming on the AFR app, the Ancient Faith website, on Facebook Live. We're all over the place. And of course, you know, we just get together here every Sunday night to talk to a different everyday Orthodox Christian. And if this is your first time listening, you're going to think, well, how strange that someone else is interviewing the host. But, you know, usually it's me interviewing somebody else. But that's what we're doing tonight. But you are always welcome to join the conversation. The number is 1-855-AF-RADIO. That's 1-855-237-2346. And when you call, our wonderful producer, Madushka Trudy Richter, will answer the phone, and she'll talk to you, and you put you right through so you can ask whatever you like. But before we get started tonight, we actually have a guest in the studio who's popping in to say hello. Is Bobby Maddocks over there, Trudy? Is he?
Elissa!
There he is. Hi, Bobby. How you doing?
Doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I can't believe this is 200 episodes now. I feel like we just started lately.
I can't either. I was going to try to talk Father Evan to calling in and being like, oh, 200, that's cute.
I mean, Father Evan's been on for a very long time. It's true. It's true. But no, 200, it took us like since 2016 to get here. I mean, it took a long time.
And I was going to say that, but you've been invested in Ancient Faith for way longer than that. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate all that you've done for the sake of Ancient Faith. People don't know who listen how much hard work you put into this and how consistently excellent all of your programming is, particularly, you know, obviously Everyday Orthodox, but also your past work on Raising Saints. There is Tending the Garden of Our Hearts, and now Light Streams In, and they're all just such quality shows. And you are so well organized, and you are so on it. I mean, I'm such a huge fan.
Bobby, you're so nice to me. Look at that. That's so sweet. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah. I love Ancient Faith. I feel lucky to be allowed to be doing stuff with you guys all the time. It's what a great organization, and just what a bunch of amazing people to be working with, and not the least of which is you. I enjoy you very much, Bobby. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
And everybody should know, too, that you are an outstanding person and very fun to hang out with in person. And it's always entertaining, and you never know what Elissa's going to say. And I relish that. I love that. So
that's funny. Yeah, we do get to hang out sometimes.
We do.
At conferences and stuff.
I've been to your house twice. Well, two different houses. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. You've been to two different houses on two different occasions. I'm in a different one now, so it's time.
I know. It's time. I got to get down to Round Rock.
come on down. Let's go. Let's go. Let's hang out.
Well,
No, I
good.
do hope that we get to see each other soon, Bobby. It's so good to hear your voice.
Yeah, well, congratulations to you. Really a monumental achievement, and I'm excited about what the years ahead hold in store for you, both for this show, but for all of the work that you do for Ancient Faith. And I just wanted to thank you personally, for this great relationship that we've established over the years, and just all of your contributions to our ministry.
Thank you so much, Bobby.
All
I
right.
really appreciate it.
Well,
I really do.
Get on with it.
All right, we'll get on with it. Let's get on with the show, guys.
All right.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Thank you, Bobby.
All right. Bye-bye.
So I got to introduce to you my daughter, and I got to tell you a little bit about Helena. Helena is 20 years old. She's brilliant and fascinating, and as her great uncle Dan used to say, she is a what did he say? He would call you like a world shaker. I'm trying to think of the word. He had a great phrase, and I just lost it. But a world beater. That's what it is. You're a world beater. Helena is fantastic. And so she's a student at the University of Texas. And she also is, she works at these really neat theater camps and theater classes. And she teaches all these kids. And she's just really neat. She just feels like she wants to make the world a better place, and she's doing it one kid at a time, and it's just beautiful to watch. So, Helena, welcome to the program, and I'm going to hand it over to you because you're in charge.
Well, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I hope everyone knows where I get it from. I'm sure if you listen enough, then you know that I get it all from my mother. She's incredible, amazing, and we're going to learn all about it today. I'm pretty familiar with the first 20 years or so, or the most recent 20 years or so.
That's true.
So let's start from the beginning. Let's start with this interview from the very beginning. Where were you born?
I was born actually in Redwood City, California, but we didn't live there. We lived my dad had just bought a place before I was born, way out in the country in a place called Pope Valley, California. And it was a town of like 300 people. And it was a couple hours from San Francisco. It's just way out in the wilderness. And he bought this place without showing my mom. And my mom was a city girl. And he was like, look, babe, isn't it beautiful out here? And she's like, it's okay. And he's like, well, I bought this land with all of our life savings. And she was not happy about it. And then I was born, and they stayed in the city with the parents for a while, my grandparents, and then I got to go out there. And my mom just consistently hated that place for the 20 years that we were there. But I loved it. I liked growing up in the city, in the country. It was, I went to a very small school with like 30 kids. Mm-hmm. And it was, it was pretty, we were like, and, it took about, I guess there was a grocery store 30 minutes away. Any other kind of store, you had to go a full hour or more to get there. And it was remote, and it was beautiful, and it was a lot of fun. But my dad was crazy. So that was a problem because my dad, the reason he wanted to live in the middle of the country was because he didn't like authority, and he didn't want anyone telling him what to do. He didn't like rules. So he was out in the country, and so pretty soon he got like a reputation out there, and it was a real small school, small area, small town. Everyone and a small school. Yeah. So it was like, oh, so your dad's crazy. You can't come to my house.
Right.
So it actually got to be kind of difficult after a while.
Yes.
It got rough. But that was just because my dad was who my dad was. And he had to be him.
Well, it happens. It happens.
It does.
Yeah. So you went to a really small high school, right?
Well, I mean, to me, it was really big because
Right.
my elementary school was K through 8, and it was 30 people. So I went to a high school that had 425 people. So as far as I was concerned, it was the big time. It was like an hour away from my house. So my mom drove me
Wow.
every morning, dropped me off, went home, then drove back and picked me up like through these crazy ravines and canyons. My mom was awesome. And then I'd be in like plays and stuff, and she'd drive me to those practices, and she was awesome. She was fantastic.
Awesome. That's super great. That's really nice. I always have thought that our 15-minute ride from the house to picking up my older siblings from school was so annoying. I can't imagine a full hour. That is crazy. Oh, it looks like we have a question. What is your view on church school during service?
Oh, that's so cool. Somebody did a YouTube comment. You guys, that's a great way to ask a question.
Yeah.
That's very cool. What is my view on church school during service? I think it's a terrible idea, honestly. And I know a lot of parishes do that. And I know that that's how it is, and it's very lovely. But I understand why it's convenient. But the problem is it's very hard to sit in Sunday school and teach somebody that the liturgy is super important, but they're not in the liturgy. You know what I mean? And there are all these interesting studies. Like there are churches, especially in the Protestant world, a lot of churches have done different services for different ages. So they'll put, like, you get there and they just divide the kid. There's a church here. Have you seen it, the church in Bee Cave, where they have like a train?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like a zebra train that they would have at the zoo in the parking lot or something. And everybody gets on and they drop everybody off at a different building for different ages. Anyway, studies have shown that kids who are separated from the other ages during services actually don't stay in the church, that they're much more likely to stay in church if they're in liturgy with their parents, even though they will tell you that liturgy is boring, because over time it grows on them. And let's ask an expert. Helena, when you were little, did you ever find church boring?
Oh, completely.
What do you think now? You're like, I'm still only 20, still boring.
Yeah, still, no. I grew up and I thought church was so boring. And then you gave me the church book. So then my favorite thing to do during church was to read along with the book. I liked knowing exactly what they were saying, what they were going to say. We go to a Greek church, so sometimes when they would switch to Greek, I would try to figure out what they were saying by, like, timing it with what the English said. So I started to, kind of as like a coping mechanism for how long the service is, I started to, like, okay, we do this, and then we do that, and then this prayer, and then that song, and then communion. And I would start to kind of know, like, this means we have this many pages left. And then I kind of got really familiar with the service itself. And that is, I guess, how I learned to love it. Is like I was like, oh, this is my favorite part. And then slowly it just grew on me, and I really started to understand the prayers and what they meant, and, like, really started paying attention to them as words instead of just something we did.
Yeah. So. And it takes years, right? It takes years to form someone in the liturgy, I think. And so I think it's unwise to pull kids out of liturgy. It's hard, though, in a parish that's always done it that way, because Orthodox people don't like change. So I have some sympathy for that. And I've been lucky not to be in a parish where I had to fight over that as Sunday school director. But I'll tell you, I would if I had to, because I think it's important.
Well, when you were a kid, what did you think of church? Did you go often?
What did I think of church? I thought, I wonder if anybody really goes to church. Are there churches? Where I lived, there were not churches, believe it or not. Well, that's true and not true. The town where I lived had 0 churches, and I never met anyone who was particularly religious or who at least would drive 15 minutes to go to church. I didn't know anyone who cared that much. And then nearby, though, there was a whole town that was there was a Mooney camp, which for older people who know who the Moonies are, it was a cult. And then there was a Mooney camp nearby, and there was a town that was all Seventh-day Adventist. And if you went to the store there, you couldn't buy meat or Jell-O because it has animal products in it. And so I really didn't have a church. My parents were not raised religious, and so my mom went to community college, and she met some people from Young Life there. And the people from Young Life had talked to her about how Jesus was her savior, and she really loved it. She loved Young Life, and she became very excited about Christ. She went to a Bible study where she met my dad, and my dad was in this, like, really radical Bible study where they were committing acts of political terrorism, I would say. But they were really very political. They were very radical. It was the late 60s. There were these conservatives in the San Francisco Bay Area, and that was their Bible study. So my parents were involved in this weird kind of dispensationalist group. And, but that group was in Houston, so we just listened to them reel to reel sometimes. But growing up, I didn't even really have that much. So mostly, I like to say my parents handed me a Bible and said, this is true. Jesus is your personal savior. And then I just kind of worked it out from there, mostly.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really go to church. I always wanted to go to church. They put me in a Catholic high school. So I got to see Catholic masses in the gymnasium sometimes. And I thought that was neat. And I think I wished I wanted to be Catholic.
Right.
Because they had all these beautiful prayers and rituals, but it also just didn't. I think I had been raised to think Catholics were not really Christian. So I was like, they're, Mary worship. So I didn't do it. But, what did I think of church? I did not think about church. I think I kind of wished that I knew what it was like, but I didn't know.
Right. So when you left home, you went to college, did you start going to church then, or was it still, no?
No, because the way I was raised was like, there's only one teacher. He's this really weird dispensationalist in Houston. And it's like the most important thing for a Christian is that you choose your teacher well. You can't trust anyone else to teach you. And so I couldn't go to Houston. I was at Berkeley, and I just didn't, I kind of walked by, like, sometimes they have different, like, Catholic Student Union and the Methodist student thing and stuff. And I would walk by and kind of think, like, I wonder what that would be like. But I didn't know which one to go into. I didn't know what would help. There are a lot of options, and when you've been raised in kind of a crazy option, you can't figure out where to go. And then I did have, when I was in graduate school at Berkeley, I taught comparative literature with a woman who was like a really faithful, observant Jewish woman. And she was married, and I was like 23. And so that's kind of an age where, maybe 22, where it's like, oh, they're a young married couple. Like, wouldn't that be neat? And she would like hurry home before sundown on Friday, and they would do all the prayers and by candlelight, and they kept kosher and all this stuff. And I remember thinking, gosh, I wish that Christianity hadn't, like, I wish Jesus hadn't just abolished all the stuff, all the, like, the kosher and all the law, right? Because my understanding was that we're not supposed to do anything like that.
Right.
And I thought it was really a shame, because I thought it was so beautiful in the Jewish tradition. But it still didn't occur to me
that maybe there were some people still having.
Well, you want to hear something really crazy?
Yeah.
I was already dating your dad.
Oh my gosh.
So her dad is Serbian Orthodox, but he didn't really fast or anything.
No.
So I didn't. I
know.
never made a connection that Orthodoxy actually does preserve all these great things. It took me years before I figured that out. I was real slow.
Yeah.
I was
That's
real
okay.
slow.
That's okay. Looks like we have another question or comment, YouTube comment.
Oh, we do.
It says he agrees with you on.
Wait, read who that is, though, because that's my friend.
Jimmy Garcia is your friend.
That's my friend Jimmy Garcia.
Hi, Jimmy. He agrees with you on Sunday school and that they do church school after divine liturgy for 40 minutes into coffee hour.
Yeah, that's the time to do it.
Yeah.
I like that, because then the parents are standing around talking anyway.
Yeah, they do that all the time.
Right?
So.
They're going to stand around and talk, so it's a good time for it.
My mom is the champion of standing around and talking at church, in case you were wondering.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
What's it like to try to leave church with me, Helena?
Very difficult, okay? Very difficult. I remember it's better now, but now that I can drive myself, but
yeah,
before those days, there were some, leaving church at 3 p.m. days, and we had an hour drive home, so it's so hard.
I'm the Sunday school director, and so sometimes stuff comes up.
She's a busy woman.
Sometimes stuff
in
comes
high
up.
Demand.
Oh, very high demand. It's like all the people always are like, I have a question for you. It's really important. And then it'll take like 10 minutes. And then they finally come up with a question that's something they could have literally asked anyone. Like, it really wasn't.
But people ask you because you treat them with a lot of respect, and you.
Right. Well, I'm always happy to talk to someone. I always say that on the show. Like, I'm always talking to people at coffee hour. Here's the flip side of that. Yeah. My kids are like, let's go home.
There's a lot of like, oh, you know this person from this and this and this. I go, Mom, I do not know. She knows everybody. She knows everybody.
I like people so much, though. That's why.
That's a good thing.
I enjoy it. I like talking to people. And yeah, but it's funny because now for 200 episodes, I'm like, oh, at coffee hour, it's so great to talk to people. And only now am I thinking at every episode, I should be like, and thank you to my children who have tolerated all of this chit chat.
No, it's okay. I had a good time on the church playground, so.
Yeah, you guys made some good friends at church.
We did. I'm very grateful for our church community and everyone in every way.
We're lucky.
We are. We're very lucky. Very lucky.
We are.
I think it's really interesting how the religions that you liked before you got really into Orthodoxy before you converted were, you liked some of the things about Catholicism and you liked some of the things about Judaism. And they're both very old traditional religions, so it almost kind of seems like you were meant for the Orthodox Church all along. You were just waiting for it.
I really feel like in retrospect, I can see that God was leading me to the Orthodox Church. And the thing that's the most amazing about it is how long it took me to catch on. Like
He
a
was
really,
dropping
really,
hints.
like I was already Orthodox before I understood. Like yeah, I mean, I actually dated someone who was Greek Orthodox when I was in high school.
Really?
And we went to his house and they had this like easel with a huge, beautiful icon of the Theotokos right by the door. And I was like, what's that? You know, and his mom didn't like me because I wasn't Orthodox. And I thought, oh, that's so stupid. And of course, now I get it. But there were a million different times that I even had gone to Orthodox churches when I was in Europe. When I was 16, I got to go see some different Orthodox churches. And I didn't make the connection. And I even went to a church in Italy, in Ravenna, that is all iconography. It's all mosaic iconography. And I fell in love. I was like, this iconography is the most beautiful thing. All the Bible stories are like there. I was walking around. I was like, oh, that's Abraham. Like I see him. And it still did not connect that to the icons at the Serbian church where I would sometimes go with your dad. And I was baptized because I wanted to have I wanted your dad and I to be the same faith so that when you guys came and asked questions, we had the same answer.
Right.
And I really struggled with it. And so your oldest sibling was born 2 months after my baptism.
Wow.
Because I waited till I was 7 months pregnant.
Right.
And I really struggled with it. And I went into an OCA parish where everything was in English. And I just like prayed like, okay, Lord, if this is okay for me to do, you know, show me. And when I heard the whole liturgy in English, I was like, this is incredibly beautiful. And I could feel that God was telling me to do it. And so I did. But even then, it took me a really long time.
Yeah.
It took me, honestly, so I had your first two siblings, and then we moved to Texas, right? When I was pregnant with Helena, we moved to Texas because it was really expensive in California. And we were in this 2-bedroom house already with 2 kids, and we were about to have a third, and we were like trying to figure out where we were going to put the bassinet. And we were like, this is it. Like, we're going to put it in another state. That's the only answer. So we moved to Texas, and then Helena was born. And of course, you had the cleft lip and palate. And now we were at a different parish, and the priest was like, oh, when's the surgery? And I'm like, what does he care? When's the surgery? And I was like, oh, you know, it's going to be on June 25th or whenever it was. And he showed up at the hospital, and he sat with us through your surgery. And I think that was the first time that it ever occurred to me that it would be okay for me to open up and like let the church into my life a little bit more.
Yeah.
And it still took a while longer, but you know, so I was almost 30 years old. I was 29 years old when that happened. So I was really slow. God really had to push me.
Yeah. I think, do we have a call-in question? Is that what that means?
I think we do. That's what that means.
That's so exciting.
So you have to welcome them to the program. What's her name?
Hi, Melinda.
Say hi, Melinda. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Melinda. Welcome to the program.
Hi.
I know who this is. This is Melinda
Yes,
Johnson,
you do.
CEO
Hey,
of Ancient
Elissa.
Faith Radio. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm calling because it's your 200th episode, and also because I have an important historical document to share with you.
Ooh, what's the important historical document?
So this is from, June 30th, 2017. And it was written by a 7-year-old daughter of yours, and it was Ideas for a New Podcast. Do you remember this?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I went back and found, you took a photo, I think, of the original document and sent it to us. It's hilarious. I don't know who was 7 years old in 2017. Who was that?
Oh, this was Little Angel's Wisdom by Mariana Bjeletich was the podcast.
Yes, that is. And wisdom was spelled with the Z.
Yes, wisdom with a Z.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
It was awesome. She had a whole list of like potential episodes.
She did.
And were there snacks?
And advice. Yes, yes. Have snacks. That was some of her advice. Also, she does say, "Don't act stupid." So
that's really
you might want to.
It's a good note, right? I mean, it's a good note. We should pass that on to like Father Andrew. Make sure he's paying attention to that.
And also, my personal favorite, make sure, SHER, make sure to know what you're talking about.
It's a good point.
Right?
It's a really good point.
Which I think is another, have a topic, TOPIK.
Yes, have a topic.
This thing is, and you should also have an editor, EDETTER. Definitely should have one of those. This is one of the best things that Ancient Faith has ever received in all of its history. I think we should share it maybe like every year just to remind ourselves to have snacks, not be stupid, and know what we're talking about. But oh my goodness,
advice. It's really good
that
advice.
was a lot of good advice, and I'm gonna pass along the information that this advice has been revisited and is definitely always being taken into account, because that's important. Absolutely. It's very important. Yeah, I love that. I'm so glad you brought that up, Melinda. I forgot about that.
Yes, it was one of my favorite things. But in all seriousness, I love that you're doing 200 episodes, that you're here with us, and that you've been here that many times. And Bobby's right. That's not even the only thing that you do. You've done so many things, and you are so organized and loved. So I was thinking this afternoon about the number 200 and how if, one person has a better day every time you have a podcast episode, even if it's only one. Maybe there's only one person listening, only one person impacted. Like, think about 200 people. That's a lot of people. Like, even if it was only one, and it's probably more than one. It's like, you drop that little pebble in the water, and those ripples just keep rippling and rippling and rippling. It's a good thing.
Thank God. Thank God. It is a good thing. It is a good thing. And it's just been such a blessing to be able to meet so many Orthodox people and to bring them to our audience and be like, here's the nicest lady that I met at this church, and she bakes Prospera and she has 3 daughters. Meet her. It's like so beautiful to be able to present her to everyone and be like, look at this gem of a person. It's a delight.
Right.
It's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Melinda. And thank you for coming on. You're one of the 200, and I think so is Bobby, actually. Yeah. Oh, I make everybody at Ancient Faith come on one time or another. I think John Maddocks is coming back in a couple weeks.
Yes.
It's fun.
We all want to be on your show. It's your wonderful.
I don't know if anybody wants to, but I'm always dragging everybody on. It's fun. I like it. But thank you so much, Melinda. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome. Have a good night and have snacks.
Oh. Yes, don't forget snacks, and don't be stupid. Know what you're talking about, and get an editor.
Yes. God bless you both.
Thank you, Melinda.
Thank you very much.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That is awesome. I totally forgot about that. But as she was saying it, I was like, I remember this document. I remember.
Yeah.
It was exciting times in the Bjeletich household when you were first starting Everyday Orthodox. You were very excited.
It was. Well, it was because Bobby came and he set up all the equipment.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody was like, whoa, Mom, what is this? You've got microphones. Let's do something with that. Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah, they actually recorded a pilot episode that we did not send to Ancient Faith. The guest was Elissa Willman.
Oh, that's a good guest.
Yes, one of our good family friends from church. And they discussed a lot of things, actually, I think largely that Divine Liturgy was really hard to sit through.
Well, I mean, now we're still talking about that today.
I know,
very relevant
not
topics,
unrelated to today's conversation.
which is awesome.
It is. It absolutely is. But Trudy mentions on here, tonight we have 26 people watching on YouTube. And I would like to say in my defense to Melinda, she's right. If only one person heard the show, that would be great. But really, actually, lots of people listen to the show, I promise. I promise, they really do. We get a report, and it's like at least 3. At least.
That's triple the number she gave you.
I know, right? It's 3 times as many as
Well,
Melinda
it
thought.
looks like it's time for us to take a quick break.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I nailed that.
You nailed that. That was so good, Helena. That's part of the job, right? You got to know how to do it. But remember, you guys are welcome to call in as well. The number is 1-855-AF Radio, 1-855-237-2346. You say, we'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Everyday Orthodox with Elissa Bjeletich Davis will be back in a moment. Give Elissa and her guest a call at 855-237-2346. That's 855-AF Radio.
This year's Ancient Faith Women's Retreat, with the theme, The Myrrh Bearers, Following Christ in Grief and Joy, will be held November 9 to 12 at Antiochian Village. For details and to register, visit store.ancientfaith.com/events. That's store.ancientfaith.com/events.
We're back with Everyday Orthodox with Elissa Bjeletich Davis. Do you have a question for Elissa and today's guest? Call in now at 855-237-2346. That's 855-AF-RADIO. Here again is Elissa.
And welcome back to Everyday Orthodox. Tonight, my guest is my host. It is Helena Bjeletich, my daughter, and she gets to ask all the questions tonight.
Oh, yes. Some real hard-hitting questions.
Yes, it's really an expose is what it is.
Absolutely. It looks like we had another comment from Dave Davis saying we do church school during Orthros before liturgy.
See, I think that's a good time to do it. I like that. A lot of churches do that, or I actually know of a church, you can say in Kansas City, if I remember correctly, they do church school and adult school before Orthros. And it's so good that people come that early, and then they do Orthros and liturgy. And I know a lot of us are like, that'd be great, but I don't think anybody would come. And it's hard because people have to get up early, but they do. They actually do in Kansas City, they do it. But during Orthros is a better compromise, right? Because at least they're not missing the liturgy. Although, there are plenty of people who would say, oh, but the Orthros is very beautiful, and it is. But very few people take their kids to Orthros anyway, and then at least you get the parents in Orthros, so that's something.
Someone's there.
Yeah. And then a lot of people do it right after liturgy, or you'll have a church that's big enough to have two liturgies, and you do it right between. But I think the key is just to make sure that the kids are there in liturgy, because it really is very important, and it's important to be there and be prepared through all those prayers and to hear the gospel and to hear the sermon and to prepare yourself and receive communion. It's all one thing, It's not meant to be chopped up too much.
Yeah,
but,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, let's get back to your life story.
Oh, my life story.
Your life story. So we moved to Texas what year? 2002? 2003?
Right before you were born. So 2002, we moved right at Christmas, December 21st.
We move on Christmas a lot then, don't we? Because I remember when I was 3, we moved around Christmas.
Yeah.
Why are we Christmas
Oh, no,
movers?
you know what? Maybe we moved Thanksgiving that time, and then the time after was Christmas. I think we moved.
National holiday, best day of
Yeah,
move.
we're big on November, December moves.
Yeah.
You know what? It's good when you pull your kids out of school and they have to go to another school. It's nice if they can say goodbye at the Christmas party. And then the new year, they're right into school, because if everybody moves in the summer, and then your kids have like these 3 months of quiet, and they, especially in Texas, like nobody even comes out of their house in the summertime.
It's so hot.
And then the kids are like, I don't think there are any kids in this town, and it's, it freaks them out a little bit. So I like moving at Christmas.
Yeah.
But you're right, we did move at Christmas a few times.
So when you were in California, did you guys go to the Serbian church?
Yes, we were in the Serbian church in California, and we met such beautiful people, and it was great, because my husband was Serbian, your dad, and so he knew everybody, like everybody was related to him, or everybody was God family, so we had just this beautiful, like amazing connection to all of these wonderful people. And then we moved to Texas, and we did not know anybody. We didn't know a soul. And that was shocking.
And we were at an OCA church in Dallas.
We were. There was no Serbian church at the time. And so we looked at the list of churches, and the nearest one was called St. Sava Orthodox Church. And for those of you who know, St. Sava is a big Serbian saint. So, of course, I don't know if my husband would have gone for an OCA church, but he was like, St. Sava, I mean, obviously, they're practically Serbian. So we went there, and it turned out that it had been named by a parishioner who then has left since then. So we were the only Serbs there. But that was another just fantastic, very small mission parish.
Yeah.
And that was really neat, because a mission parish is its own special thing, because everybody has to work. Everybody has to do something, because there's nobody else to do it.
Yeah.
You walk into a big church and you just put your kids in the Sunday school and you show up at coffee hour and you don't have to worry about anything. But when you're at a little mission parish like that, they're like, we need you to order the candles and decorate the flowers, and can you sing? And it's cool.
Well, it's nice to get involved like that. And when you're moving and you don't know anyone, it's kind of nice to be in a small church, because then you know everyone pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You better start learning names.
That's right. That's right. And you were born right then as we started that church. And as a baby, I don't know if you remember me telling you this before, but from birth, you were constantly talking to everybody. And you, like, when you were in the stroller, you would look and you'd get eye contact, and then you'd go to the next one, get eye contact, and you'd, like, get to know everybody. And when you could walk, you would walk around and get to know. So you actually helped us get to know everybody in Texas because you were just constantly saying hello to them and batting your big brown eyes at them.
That's awesome.
It
I
was
so
very
cute.
cool.
I was the cutest little kid.
You were so cute.
I was so cute.
You were so cute. You're still cute, but I mean, when you were
not as
little,
cute.
it was like, I mean, eventually
Wow.
you kind of grew into your face, right? Like
But I had a big
when
face.
kids are little, they have really big eyes, right? And then, because I think your eyes don't really grow, your face just grows to match them. So when you were little, your eyes were insanely large, and people were just so charmed by you. It was so cool.
Yeah. Well, what can I say?
That's to be expected.
To be expected. Okay, so OCA Church in Dallas, and then how long did we live in Dallas?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. So while we were in Dallas, of course, your brother was born,
Yes.
Luca. And then Luca passed away shortly thereafter. And I know that's always kind of funny for you because you were 2.
Yeah.
So I feel like you probably have more memories of everyone grieving Luca
Yeah.
than you have of like being, well, of course, everybody has more memories of grieving because he only lived 45 days. And so, we have a few memories of beautiful times with him and then a whole lot of memories of like learning how to deal with that.
Yeah.
But that was actually really, in some ways, a very interesting thing for me because faith-wise, it made a huge difference in my life because, like I said, we had all of this family and friends and all these lovely people in the Orthodox Church. And so it was kind of, I don't want to say it was just a cultural connection because I was very much a Christian and very interested in the church. But I also, like, nobody ever had like classes or Bible studies, and I just didn't understand a lot. And back in those days, this is still in the 90s, there weren't books in English, really. There were like 3 books in English. And so I didn't really understand Orthodoxy. I just kind of thought like all Christians were about the same and we had different traditions. And in the Orthodox Church, these are the traditions we had. And they were nice. They were fine. And then when Luca died, I started going to our priest and just asking him all these questions. Like, wait a minute, where's heaven? What's the kingdom of God? What is all this stuff? And he started explaining it to me and just also listening to what I was thinking. And he would just be like, how do you believe that? That's like an ancient heresy that was stamped out. I'm like, well, they just gave me a Bible and I just had to figure it out myself. And that made it, which is funny because that's how heresy happens, right? Like people are just trying to figure things out and they just start making things up and it doesn't work. But it was a really hard time. And so I think that maybe I was the kind of person that God really had to humble, like he really had to knock me down because I was very capable and I was just living my life and doing well and things went wrong, I fixed them. And I just didn't understand how much I relied on God and I didn't understand what the church could do for me because I wasn't asking the church to do anything, like I just didn't expect anything. And that experience kind of flattened me and knocked me on my back. And I had all of these opportunities, though, to learn about the church and to begin to appreciate things like koliva and memorials. When your child dies, you can't buy them. You have these realizations, and they sound shallow, but they're not. But it's stuff like, I'm never going to throw a 4th birthday party for you. I'm never going to get you a bicycle. I'm not going to buy you any more clothes. And it's just this endless list, right? Like, we're not going to get you a car. You're not going to play football, and you're not going to play rugby, and you're not going to play lacrosse. You're not going to play soccer, right? Like, you could make this list go on and on forever. Yeah. But what we could do was have these beautiful memorials, and our whole parish would gather with us and pray, and I could make koliva, and I could light a candle. And so I really came to appreciate Orthodoxy for the way that it connected me to my son.
Yeah.
And also for the way that the theology all made sense. It all made sense together. Everything is about the incarnation and the resurrection and love and light, and it's so consistent and beautiful. And I had not had that before, and so that's when I really fell in love with Orthodoxy.
Yeah,
that was a really big deal. But then we were having another baby, and it was like, oh, are we going to have another baby in the house? where Luca died. Like, is that going to freak us out? Like, I had PTSD from finding him, and I was like, I don't know if I can do that. And we had always wanted to move to Austin because Austin's really cool, and there's this small town, Dripping Springs, and instead of wearing like crop tops and mini skirts, the 6-year-olds were wearing like jeans and t-shirts, and I was like, I relate to this more. So we moved out there, and it was very cool. And so I feel like that's really the place you remember growing up.
Yeah. That house, that feels like my childhood home.
Yes. Yeah.
Right outside of Dripping Springs.
Yes. That was a pretty house. That was cool. That was fun.
Yeah.
It was a neat neighborhood. We had a lot of friends in the neighborhood. But it was there are certain neighborhoods around Texas, and I'm sure around the country, where people come and go like every 2 to 3 years. Like there are these people who just feels like there are a lot of people who spend a short amount of time in different towns. And to be safe, they buy a house in a new suburb near a good school, and they know that they'll be able to have resale value in 3 years. And they plop down, and you have all these instant friends, and then they all leave. And by about the second round of it, I was like, this is killing me. Like, my neighbors keep moving.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that too. Because I liked that the neighborhood, everyone was so close together. It really felt like our street, like we knew, like we had the neighbors across the street that I would go play Barbies with and make movies and things like that. So that was always nice. But
Yeah.
it was a little
And
bit
then they moved.
Yeah, they moved.
And then they moved.
So that's when we started going to Transfiguration.
Yes, that's when
Greek
we started
church.
at the Greek church. And at first you guys hated it because you were like, it's different. And it's like, well, it's going to be different. And now I feel like it feels home to you. But I think it took a little while. I think it took time.
Oh, we have another question here from a YouTube comment. I like the Serbian Slava. Do you like the characteristics of the Serbian Orthodox as well?
I love the Serbian Slava. I love the Serbian Orthodox. Serbian people are, well, I mean, they're actually a lot like Greek people. To tell you the truth, like you watch My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and I totally related to that, even though I was the white girl who married into a Serbian family. But, I love Serbian culture. I love Serbian food. And then, but especially the Slava, it's very special. For those of you who don't know about it, it's like a name day, only your whole family shares it. So when I married into a Serbian family, I inherited St. Luke. And everybody in the family celebrates St. Luke, and my kids all celebrate St. Luke. And so I think that's really neat. I think it's very special. I love Serbian traditions.
Yeah, me too. We always celebrated Slava and then Serbian Christmas on January 7th.
Yes.
And those were always two of my favorite holidays. We just throw a big party and all of our church friends would come over, and it was so much fun. I've always loved it.
We introduced everyone to Serbian cuisine, and after, when you got old enough, remember you made a YouTube compilation of all these Serbian videos and like a PowerPoint on Serbia, and
they play it every year. I had a
just
Serbian
play it on
Christmas
repeat.
slideshow I made for school.
Yes,
and it played like some weird song in the background.
It was kids singing Merry Christmas.
And we played it for years and years after that at the Serbian Christmas party. And I was like, we don't have to do it this year.
We were like, oh yeah, we're
have
doing
to
it.
do it this year.
She's like, really? My 3rd grade project still?
Really? Okay.
Yeah. No, someday.
No, we have to.
Someday we're going to be playing it for your kids, honey. That's how it goes.
My Serbian Christmas Slava.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Slava is I like that one a lot. I like the bread. We have a good priest for it too, and he has all the little kids. I don't know if everyone does that because I've only ever had like.
Yeah, they all do that.
Well,
like when we were in California, the priests all did that too. Yeah. You bake the kolach, which is a special loaf of bread, and then everybody puts their fingers under it to help turn it. And the littlest kids, like, they just love it. And I have all these pictures. I always love getting a picture of like an 80-year-old hand next to like a 4-year-old hand, and they're both turning the bread.
It's so cute.
It's beautiful.
That's another Elise Willman, second mention of the day. I have lots of memories of Elise and the little baby Bjeletich.
Yeah. When they were, whoever was baby at the time, right? Whether it was Steph, whatever, like, but they're all the babies whenever they were babies. Yes. Yeah. It's fantastic. But no, that was always a beautiful tradition. We had a lot of very beautiful traditions as you were growing up. Yes. It was a lot of fun.
Yes. And it was cool to be, I enjoyed being the Serbian and the Greek church, because when it would come to days like Slava and Serbian Christmas, it was like, that's all me. Like, you may know what they're saying, but that's me.
Right. None of them knew what they were saying either.
No.
No.
They were like 8. No one speaks Greek at 8
No.
unless you're in
Well, the
Greece.
kids who speak Greek at 8, though, they speak like, you can come have some pastizio now, right? Because they're 8. Like,
Yeah,
they're not
that's
really
true.
understanding the liturgy,
That's
the
true.
liturgical Greek. But, I think it was really fun to introduce people to those traditions
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's a little weird for me because I was not Serbian, right? So all my kids are Serbian. I'm not Serbian. And you guys are only barely Serbian, but whatever. Well, we won't go there.
Whoa.
I mean,
Whoa,
your
25
dad's
is a lot
half.
of percent, okay?
Your dad's half Serbian, and I'm half Danish. So you're as much Danish as you are Serbian, but you really identify
But
with
did
the
I go
Serb.
to Danish summer camp?
Right.
No.
Why? Because I took you to Serb. So I give them this whole Serbian heritage, right? Their dad did too. But I mean, I participated in all these things and helped build it up. And then we end up divorcing, and now I'm not Serbian anymore. I don't have a Slava.
Like, wait.
I'm like, they're having Slava. I'm like, well, have fun.
Yeah.
It's a little weird. It's a little weird to have been a different culture for 27 years.
And then all of a
And then
sudden-
now it's like, never mind.
'Cause it's not
I
like
guess
you're
I'm
gonna
actually
forget.
Danish. Turns out I was Danish all along.
You better start really embracing your Danish
I mean, to be fair, when I was in college, I used to go to Denmark every summer. I speak Danish fluently, right? I wrote a thesis on a Danish book. I know I'm Danish.
Yeah.
I'm Danish, but I'm a little bit Serbian too.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Always a little bit.
Can't help it. It's just there.
True.
That's how it goes. But so let's see what else. So in the end, we had a total of 6 kids,
Yeah.
including Luca, who passed. And then I'm trying to think if there's anything else interesting to say. Your youngest sibling had a liver
I
transplant.
was going to say.
And then I wrote a book about it. And that's how I got involved with Ancient Faith.
Yeah.
Was because I wrote this book and I sent it in. And Catherine Hyde is the editor who was looking at it. And she goes, how would you market this book? And I was like, I'm an at-home mom. I don't know how I'd market this book. So I said, what's the most successful way to market to this demographic? What's your experience with this? And she said, our podcasters sell a lot of books. And I was like, oh, I love podcasts. And I liked listening to Ancient Faith, but I also, when I was growing up at the end of 60 Minutes, if you're very old, you know who I'm talking about. There was a guy named Andy Rooney. And he had this 3-minute, is that kind of a rant actually, at the end of 60 Minutes every week. And he would just talk about something he found stupid or annoying or funny or silly. And so he just had this 3-minute thing. And when people asked me what I wanted to be, I was like, I'm going to be Andy Rooney. I'm going to take over his thing. I'm going to have 3 minutes on 60 Minutes to just say something every week. Just tell somebody something interesting. And I'd feel a little bit like Andy Rooney, but better because I can talk longer. He only got 3 minutes.
He only got 3. Yeah. You knew what you wanted. You knew what you wanted and you got it.
It's true. It's true. It wasn't exactly a direct line though, because in between there, I thought I was going to be a teacher. I thought a lot of other things. And then I so then I got to have a podcast and then another one. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's been great.
I wrote a lot of books too. I've been the guinea pig for a couple things.
How did that go? How did you tell us about that?
So,
Helena?
this is really embarrassing because I don't know the name of the book. That's the Christmas one. Oh no. Yep, there it is. I came in. Welcoming the Christ Child, the title that I knew and didn't have to look at the book. Welcoming the Christ Child. Me and my siblings were the guinea pig for how many years? It feels
we probably
like
worked on that 3 or 4 years before we published it.
And we had the little, every night, 40 days before Christmas, we would hear a little story, and we would put the little thing on the tree. I remember at the old house, you painted a beautiful tree. Fun fact about my mother, not many people know. She used to paint our rooms a lot, and she had a lot of really cool, her specialty is trees. She paints some beautiful trees. So we used to have in our front room, we had the iconography?
Icon corner.
Icon corner. And she painted 2 beautiful trees, and then we did the Jesse tree. I think that was the first, what it was called. It was based off of.
Yeah.
And we would hang up a little picture that signified the story, and that was fun. But once you do the same stories for 4 years, you're like, okay, we're doing this one now, like, okay, and then tomorrow we're doing that one, and
But they know their Old Testament.
we know it.
Well, I had to get it, and I also, Elise Willman, like third mention, the Willman family was doing that, and they were also a couple of other families, the Garwoods, like different families I knew, the Papadopoulos family. They were all test subjects, and at the end, every night, they'd email me and let me know, like, okay, the kids said this part didn't make any sense. And I'd be like, okay, I'll rewrite that. And so then eventually we published it.
It was really fun. I think I actually aged out more so than like not wanting to do it anymore because I liked doing it. It was a fun like countdown, and I really liked knowing the answer. Yeah. So whenever like on like year 2, I was like, okay, this year I'm gonna know. You're gonna ask a question and I'm gonna know the answer. And I loved knowing the answer.
That's true. It's true. But yeah, by then you were like a young teenager. You were kind of done.
Yeah. When I turned, I think I was 13 or something when it came out, and I was like, how about the younger ones do it? I did my time.
Yeah, you were way too cool. 13's very cool age.
Much like Elise Woman is now. 4th mention.
Oh my gosh. Elise, you had no idea how much we were going to talk about you tonight.
I get on here, I talk about Elise Woman.
That's it.
That's all I do.
That's it. I feel like Luke's going to be really mad. That's her brother. Okay. All right.
Enough of the Wilmans.
Enough of the Wilmans. So I'll tell you something really cool. After this show, Helena, a lot of times I get to talk to Father Evan, and a lot of times we talk about Camp Emmanuel, which is the camp that we have for our metropolis, our Greek metropolis. And this last year, I was the camp director, and so I got to bring in whoever I wanted to be the activity director. And I brought in Helena, and she's so good at thinking of crazy games and it like cheerfully getting all these, 150 kids to come play a game. And it's just awesome. And it was so fun. And I'm so proud of you because it's turned out to be a real gift. Like you do all these drama camps and you do camp. And next weekend we'll be going to do a retreat. And I was like, well, what games are we going to play? And she's like, I don't know. Maybe a paper gauntlet. I was like, what's that? She's like, well, I'm just making it up right now, but I'm thinking what we do is we have a bunch of different games that are all based on paper. And she came up with instantly a whole bunch of games, all based on like doing things out of paper or cardboard. And they're all brilliant. And I just gave it away. Hopefully Elise Willman's not listening.
Elise Willman, don't listen.
Don't listen. You'll know what's going on.
Well, I really liked that we could do camp together. I thought that was a really fun aspect of it. Is you had been planning it for so long, and I would come over and be like, so how's camp going? And then we would just sit and talk about camp for like 3 hours. It was so much fun.
My poor husband. Poor Chris. Chris was like... Eventually, he'd just get up and walk out of the room. Yeah. I'm like, you're invited to talk with us about camp. And he's like, yeah, the problem is I just have a real limit to how much time I want to spend talking about camp. And you guys could talk literally for hours. We could talk for hours and hours planning camps and retreats and things like that.
Speaking of camp, look who is calling in.
Oh, well, no, it's because he's ready for his show.
Oh, he's ready for his show.
Yeah, Father Evan's on next. So Father Evan does camp with us. Oh, so it's actually very...
No, I'm here to call you.
No, you are calling in. Father Evan! That's so exciting. I'm so glad you're calling in. How you doing?
Well, someone hit 200 shows. I mean, that's not an everyday occurrence.
Well, I mean, for you, it's like you've done that like 5 times.
That's rookie numbers for you.
You've done that 5 or 6 times by now, I'm sure.
Who's on with you?
But I'm not as old as you, so
it's me, Helena.
No way! Hi, sweetheart.
Yeah. She's my guest host tonight.
Were you interviewing your mom?
I am.
Oh my goodness! How'd that go?
I mean,
find out stuff.
I think we exposed her pretty well. I think it's no secrets left.
That's it.
No secrets left.
Could be the 200th and final episode after this. It was controversial.
Oh really? Oh my goodness! Sure. No, I just got home, and on my way home, Matushka Trudy texted, and she's like, "Guess what? It's the 200th show." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta call in, be part of that."
That's awesome. That's fantastic. I'm so glad you did.
Yeah,
it's good. I love having our shows next to each other. It's fun.
Yeah, same. Well, I have to say, if others haven't said it to you. And I know that you don't want to have this said publicly, but your show means a lot to a lot of people, and it really shines a light on Christ and his good news. And it's easy listening, but it's also informative. And I'm thinking about like 200 shows. I mean, that's like 200 different really incredible, interesting people you've talked to.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, except for you, because you've been on. I'm just kidding. No, I know you're just saying that you're incredibly interesting. That's what you want to hear. No, it is. It is actually, it is really neat because there have been so many interesting, beautiful, fun, fascinating people on this show. And I just love it. I've got a long list. I mean, I book it out months in advance because I'm just constantly finding cool people. So just wait. Just wait. The next 100 are pretty cool. We've probably got 30 of them already on the schedule, and I'm so excited. But, well, thank you so much, cool. Father. I really appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, like I said, I just want to say a quick hello. Hi, sweetheart, on the other side. Are you down in Texas with your mama?
Yes, I'm sitting right next to her.
Yeah. She
oh,
came
no
to the
way.
studio.
How fun.
Yeah. It's double. It's very cool. It's a lot of Bjeletich.
That's fun.
But it's fun.
Well, I'll talk to you in like a couple of minutes.
We'll see you in a couple minutes, Father Evan. Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye. That's awesome. And then I also see that Gary's on YouTube with a question saying, how's AHOS going? I had to pause attending due to the work schedule. You know, Gary, I might have to pause attending because my work schedule just picked up, but I'll tell you what, it's awesome. It's awesome. So come back when you can. And you know you can do one class at a time. I'm working on a Master's of Theological Studies with like 100 of my best friends, and we have so much fun. But we get together once a year, and then the rest of the year it's all online. But it is a great program if you're thinking about doing something like that. Antiochian House of Studies, it's awesome. But also before we go, I think there's someone else who wants to say hi. Because you know what? Every week I'm like, if you call in, you can talk to Matushka Trudy. But actually, she was one of our 200 guests as well. She came on the show and told us all about her story, which was wonderful. But Matushka Trudy is one of my favorite people, and it's really fun. For a long time, Bobby was the producer, and that meant I got to talk to him for 15 minutes before the show. And now it's Trudy, and I get to talk to her for 15 minutes before the show. I've had very good luck with producers. But Matushka Trudy, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for giving me just 2 minutes to tell you hello. And first of all, congratulations on your 200th episode of Everyday Orthodox. Amazing. And it is such an honor and privilege to work with you and to get you all ready for your wonderful guests, and also to have met you personally. I am a big fan of you, Elissa, and the work that God has called you to do. And I just want you to know that personally you are a huge blessing to me. And I am so pleased and honored to call you friend. And just, you know, thank you for everything you do for Everyday Orthodox and for Ancient Faith Radio and Ministries.
Thank you so much.
Just so blessed. So very blessed.
Thank you. Well, I love that we get a chance to talk every week because you're very far away up there in Indiana and me down here in Texas. So it's nice because I value our friendship very much. I enjoy it. And so it's really kind of delightful that we get to talk all the time.
What a blessing.
It's fun. It works out very nicely. Well,
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Helena, what a good job you did.
Thank you.
You killed it. That was fantastic.
I was very nervous.
Were you really?
Big shoes to fill.
Well, you kept saying like you were afraid that you were going to say something crazy.
I don't know.
Why would you say anything crazy?
I thought maybe I would just go mad with power. I'm sitting here with this microphone. I know we're about to end. I have one final question for you.
Okay, go.
It's a big one. Who is your favorite child? And why is it me?
My kids love to ask me that question. I'll tell you what, right now, you're the one in the studio, so obviously, seems obvious, right?
Take that one, bossy.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I love all of my kids equally. They're all amazing. Now I'm going to have every single one of them on the show.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because it's only fair, because that's how it works out.
I guess so.
That's okay. That's all right. I would love it. Well, thank you, Helena. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I was so excited to come.
Oh, it was a delight. Well, guys, that's 200 episodes. So next week we move on to 201. And just wait until you see who our guest is. I'm sure it's going to be someone amazing. And we hope you'll join us next Sunday night to get to know another Everyday Orthodox Christian. Good night.